are you doing?
What are we doing daily?
Daily.
Like I said before, we are organizing the community, going into different people's homes, you know, politically educating them, telling them exactly what is going on, not only here in Oakland, but in America and throughout the world. See, many black people are not aware of what is going on in America, or what is going on in South Africa, or over there in France, for instance, you know. We organize, since the black community is not a reading community, we talk to them, show them examples. In our paper, we have pictures, you know, so they can see what is going on. And then after they learn what is going on in the black community, then they can step forth and try to change themselves.
As long as you have knowledge of self and like this idea of who you are free. If you say you're free, you are free. Even if you're locked up, if you are free, you are free. You know what I mean? And it's the freedom that we have to define ourselves, which is why I wanted to create this project, because so long we've been labeled from the world, and also we've been labeling our sisters as these same titles because of what the world says is normal and what's not normal. And it's like, that's trash. Like, why would we ever use a system that's been used to oppress us as a means to define who we are and to rate our worthiness? That doesn't make sense. My story of freedom is still being written.
Now remember, there are only 2 of us who are African Americans in this program. Everybody else is either white or European. And literally disproportionately, so many people were interested in African American literature, and yet we didn't have African American literature embedded in the curriculum, right? So a lot of times we were, you know, doing our coursework in the program, but doing these other courses with professors, you know, like in the English department, because at the time Chapel Hill had like the top African American literature program in the country. And so there was a young woman, she was ahead of me in the program, and she was the it girl in the program. And she was the popular girl. And she found out that I loved Halloween. So for the first time ever, she was going to throw a Halloween party, and I was invited. But I didn't want to go. I just didn't want to go. And the very next Monday, I went to my department mailbox, and there was a braided leather whip in my mailbox. A braided leather whip.
Speaking up for ourselves almost becomes offensive to other people, even other black people, right? It's like, you stirring up the pot too much, you're making it bad for me here. You know, like, I'm good, no one's bothering me, but you don't even realize that you're sitting under oppression, right? How many people have lived in horrible circumstances in their lives and accepted that as the normal? Because they had to survive, they had to get by. And so when someone says, hey, this isn't right, you know, this is actually horrible conditions, a person might look at them and be like, you're ungrateful, you're disrespectful, and you're shaking things up, and you're entitled.
What actually works for you right now? I feel like a lot of people have been reassessing how they feel about higher education, and for some people, it's not worth the money. It's not worth the time. And so I would just say listen to yourself, because that's what I did for the second master's, where I was like, I'm going to do this for me. Not for society, not for the paper, but what I need.
And then it dawned on me, the university had been in turmoil because the students had been publicly protesting for a freestanding Black Cultural Center. And the protest had made like the national evening news. The protest had garnered, write-ups like in the Wall Street Journal. I think Spike Lee came to film footage and whatnot. And the students staged a sit-in like in the president's office. So it was just really racially charged because they had been promised a freestanding cultural center for a couple of decades. And in the 90s, it still hadn't materialized. And so they just felt that, this is, stall tactics. And there was this debate over why should you have a freestanding Black Cultural Center and not a multicultural center. As Black women, as women of color, as women, period. I am not your experience. I am to myself right? Whatever you need to make your world go around. If you think you need something outside of yourself, that's you, and you go work on it. Don't involve me.
And it's like, no, you deserve good things. You deserve good things. And someone jolting you awake to that reality is sometimes painful, because you realize, wow, I've been taking crap that I didn't have to take.